It wasn't the spies who broke the Soviet Union, not the double agents hiding in Moscow's shadows, not the men who risked their lives to pass secrets through dead drops in dark alleys. The CIA found another way. They learned to read the Soviet Union without ever stepping foot inside it. And they did it in a way so subtle, so invisible, that even the KGB never saw it coming. This is the story of how America's intelligence agencies stole Soviet secrets without spies and changed the very meaning of espionage forever. Before we continue, like and subscribe for more historic dives. The Cold War wasn't a war of armies. It was a war of shadows, fought not in trenches, but in minds. By the early 1950s, the world had split into two worlds, one painted red with revolution, the other draped in freedom's illusion. Behind the Iron Curtain, the Soviet Union was a black box, a sealed world of factories, missiles, and silence. Every map was censored, every number a state secret, and every outsider a potential spy. Inside the CIA headquarters in Langley, Virginia, frustration boiled. Traditional espionage had hit a wall. Agents couldn't penetrate Moscow without being hunted. Satellite technology didn't yet exist. America's greatest enemy was invisible, and that made it even more terrifying. Then someone asked a question that changed everything. What if the answers aren't hidden, but simply overlooked? In an age of spies and saboteurs, the CIA began hiring something unexpected. Librarians, linguists, economists, archivists, people who didn't carry guns or cyanide pills. Their weapons were pencils and curiosity. They combed through every Soviet newspaper, scientific journal, speech, photograph, and export list they could find. They called it open source intelligence, but to the KGB, it was inconceivable. How could a pile of harmless magazines reveal the secrets of an empire? The analysts at Langley didn't just read, they decoded. They saw meaning in what the Soviets tried to hide behind statistics and slogans. A small note in Pravda about a new industrial district. A photo from a May Day parade, where one rocket had a different exhaust pattern. An academic paper from a Moscow university discussing metallurgy under classified conditions. Each detail was a puzzle piece, individually meaningless, together explosive. By 1956, the CIA had begun to see what even Soviet citizens could not. The analysts mapped where steel shipments went missing. They followed the trails of concrete, of scientists, of silence. Every change in tone, every phrase in the Soviet press hinted at something vast being constructed. They found it, a place that didn't exist on any map. Tyuratam, a desert outpost in Kazakhstan. They couldn't enter it, they couldn't photograph it, but they could predict it. From public data alone, they pieced together its purpose. A site large enough for testing intercontinental ballistic missiles. And when a small metallic sphere named Sputnik rose into orbit in 1957, the CIA was ready. The world gasped in shock. But inside Langley, analysts quietly nodded. They already knew how it had been launched, by whom and from where. Their invisible method had worked. The Cold War was fought not in the open, but in the invisible exchange of information. The CIA began building an empire of knowledge. They bought Soviet textbooks by the thousands. They recorded radio broadcasts, even weather reports. They analyzed the tone of speeches, because even an extra adjective in Khrushchev's rhetoric could hint at military buildup or political fear. Every tiny clue was fed into a system, decades before the digital age. This was human data science, before the word data existed. Across the ocean, the KGB tried to do the same. They planted agents in embassies, stole microfilms, even smuggled Western journals. But the difference was profound. The CIA didn't rely on deceit. They relied on interpretation, and that terrified the Soviets. Because how do you stop someone who can see your secrets without ever touching them? Then came the sky. When satellites began circling Earth in the early 1960s, the CIA married machine and mind. What analysts once predicted from open data, they could now confirm from orbit. They launched the Corona program, a spy satellite that returned its film in tiny capsules dropped from space, caught mid-air by fighter jets. Each image was a revelation. Missile silos, air bases, submarine pens. The open source data had been right all along, and for the first time, America's fear of a missile gap, the idea that the Soviets had far more nuclear weapons, was proven false. The CIA had pierced the Soviet illusion using nothing more than science, logic, and light. But knowledge cuts both ways. The CIA's mastery of open information birthed another weapon, one that targeted the mind. Psychological warfare. If propaganda could reveal secrets, it could also create illusions. From Radio Free Europe to cultural infiltration through art and film, America began shaping global perception of the Soviet Union, using truth, half-truth, and spectacle. Meanwhile, Soviet disinformation tried to blur those same lines. What began as reading newspapers turned into controlling them. Both sides learned that in a world of information, reality itself becomes a battlefield. By the late 1970s, the mosaic began to crack. Soviet production data stopped aligning with official reports. Economic numbers defied physics. Analysts saw factories reporting perfect output, yet electricity use was dropping. Something was off. Through open data alone, the CIA saw what the Kremlin couldn't admit. The Soviet Union was lying to itself. The empire was eroding from within, its industries hollow, its statistics falsified, its reality distorted. When satellites confirmed empty fields where record harvests were claimed, the truth was undeniable. A system built on secrecy had finally been undone by transparency. By the time Gorbachev spoke of glasnost, openness, the CIA had already mastered it. They didn't need spies to predict the fall. They only needed to keep reading. Every journal article, every factory report, every whispered broadcast carried the rhythm of collapse. In 1991, as the red flag fell from the Kremlin Tower, analysts in Langley watched it not with surprise, but recognition. They had seen it coming for years. In the data, in the tone, in the silence. The greatest intelligence victory of the Cold War had been achieved without blood, without infiltration, without spies, just observation, patience, and understanding. But the story doesn't end there. The same methods that defeated the Soviet Union now define the 21st century. OSINT, once the CIA's secret art, is now everywhere. Every social media post, satellite photo, and flight path feeds a new age of surveillance. Not by governments alone, but by algorithms. Corporations track behavior the way the CIA once tracked missiles. Influencers wage ideological wars the way propagandists once did. We live inside the empire of open information. And once again, those who can see the pattern first control the future. The CIA learned a truth that outlived the Cold War. Power isn't about what you can hide. It's about what you can understand. Empires today fall the same way the Soviet Union did. Not from invasion, but from information imbalance. A single document leak, a viral video, a data breach, and nations tremble. The tools built in the age of secrecy have become the foundation of our connected world. And yet, the more we know, the less we see. Because when everything is information, truth becomes the hardest secret to find. They say spies once carried cyanide pills, but the new spies carry search bars. And in a world drowning in information, those who can see the pattern still hold the power. This is not just the story of how the CIA stole the Soviet Union's secrets. It's the story of how information became the most dangerous weapon ever made.